Well, it's been 3 days. I gave you guys a chance. Time to spoil the whole movie. Hi there, folks. Welcome to the last video in my Avengers Week celebration. I'm Professor Thorgy Aaron, and today we are having our spoiler discussion about Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, if you missed my spoiler-free review, you can click it right there. There's a little box for it. I'll wait. Now, as I said in that video, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, but I couldn't because it would have spoiled the movie, so that's why I have this video. This is my spoiler discussion. I did one for Daredevil, so you guys know how this goes. I'm going to try and get to everything that I want to talk about, but I know there's no way I can. I know I'm going to leave some stuff out. There was just too much for me to talk about, and the first thing I want to talk about is that there was just too much stuff in this movie. I mentioned that it seemed like this movie was a 3-hour fantastic superhero film that had half an hour of it just ripped out, and it made a lot of parts kind of a jumbled mess. Like, my problems were things like, say, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. We get to, find out their backstory, that they had a start bomb in their house and they were afraid to move for 3 days. That is a great backstory. But then aside from that, we never really get anything from them. Like, we never really get... honestly, I can't even remember if there was a scene of just the two of them talking. Like, I think there was one, short one, but no, I needed, some brother-sister bonding time in that in order for me to get to know them. And also, when they finally meet up with Tony Stark, there's, nothing. You get, nothing from that. It's no, there needs to be a discussion between the kids who almost died from all of his weapons and the guy who made it. That would have been an amazing scene, and we didn't get it in there. But I have a feeling like it probably was in that original, 2-hour and 50-minute cut that they say exists. And there's so many other things, like the Vision. The Vision is a complex idea. He's part organic being, part vibranium. He is a new form of life that they invented, and they brought him to life with the Mind Gem, which is crazy. He's got a cosmic mind mixed with Jarvis. As he said himself, he is a brand new thing. There's been nothing like him before. And yet when he shows up, they're just like, huh, okay, you gave a little speech. All right, let's go save the world now. It's no, you need some time with that guy. We need to learn about this thing. This is a big deal. And once again, I get a feeling like all of that was in that original cut. And I bring this up because Marvel, I'm about to make you a lot more money. Come in, listen to this. All right, Marvel, I know you got that 2-hour and 50-minute cut just stored away, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna release that on Blu-ray, and that'll get way more people to buy the Blu-ray. No, man, listen, I got you on this one. What you do, you wait until Ant-Man comes out, because everybody's nervous about Ant-Man. Nobody knows there's all that trouble behind the scenes. Ant-Man could be amazing, or it could be a giant wreck. If it's amazing, people are gonna be like, this is the summer of Marvel. Marvel completely cleared it out, and if that happens, then you come in a month after Ant-Man, and you go, oh, you think the summer of Marvel is done? Bam, extra half hour in Avengers. Come back and see it again. You know you'll get that money. Or, if Ant-Man fails, and Ant-Man stinks, people are like, oh, I guess that Avengers was just the last big one for Marvel. Oh, yeah, because you know how it is when you're on top. When you're on top, everybody at the bottom is waiting for that first big screw-up, so they can say, yep, you're dead, you're gone. Time to celebrate all those other movies out there. Valiant, that's the future of, comic book movies. Although, in all seriousness, I think Valiant might be the future of comic book movies. Guys, seriously, if you need a Woody, right here. Or in 10 years, if you need an Armstrong, right here. But okay, forget Valiant for a second. But if Ant-Man stinks, then once again, 1 month later, you come back in when everybody now is like, oh, I don't know about Marvel. And you go, hey, director's cut of Avengers Age of Ultron. Bam, they come back, they love it, you're back on top again. You gotta do this, man. You got to put that back out in theaters. And forget this 2-hour and 50-minute cut. The rumors that I've been hearing is that the original script for this thing was 3.5 hours. And I know that if you make a movie 3.5 hours, that cuts down on how many showings you can do, that cuts down on how much money you end up getting back. However, you've already cleaned up, man. You're already doing fine. At this point, everything is just gravy. You could get those Russo brothers to come in, because let's face it, Joss Whedon has gone off the farm at this point in time. You get those Russo brothers to come back in with that original script, bring back as many of the actors as you can get, shoot as many of those scenes as you possibly can, fix up any of the final CGI that you possibly can in the next 3 months. Bam, you put out a 3.5 hour long Avenger film that goes, this has everything in it. A ton of people are gonna come back, man. do it. Trust me, man. This is a smart idea. I got your back, Marvel. But okay, back to the spoiler talk. As I said, that was mostly my complaint with this, is that everything was so rushed, everything was crammed together, and we had basically just one action sequence after another, and the final action sequence, that whole last half hour of action, is amazing. I loved every moment of that. But before that, I was starting to get tired of the action. Like, I won't lie, that one where they're on the train and they're on the bus or whatever it was, or the truck that was stealing the Vision body, I was like, man, this one does not have the impact that all the other ones did, and it really should, but it doesn't because I'm just getting numb to all the action in this. That's why, once again, you need to add in all those scenes of dialogue. You need to extend this thing out because, yeah, man, you need some downtime from the action. You need a moment to just cool down. Which, once again, Marvel, is why you need to release that 3.5 hour long cut. But other people had other problems with this, and I'm not going to address all of them, but I do want to talk about the Natasha and Bruce relationship, which I know some people weren't a fan of. I actually dug it. It made a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand it at first, like I was like, how the heck are these two going to hook up? But when you get those flashbacks of her past, it's like, wow, she has had a life that is nothing but war and chaos and destruction. And yes, the Hulk is that. But Bruce, on the other hand, he's a big cuddly teddy bear. He's Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo isn't even playing Bruce Banner in this movie. He's just playing himself. And they went, all right, we're going to CGI a Hulk over you at some point in time. And yeah, it made sense to me because it's like, okay, she's been through so much, she can deal with the Hulk. But she needs someone nice. She just needs a good human being in her life. It's like, yes, I can get Bruce. That makes sense to me. Speaking of Hawkeye, man, didn't see that coming, and I loved it. Hawkeye having a family, I think, was fantastic in this movie. And I am a diehard Hawkeye fan. So to all those people out there who are going, oh, this isn't like it is in the comics, stop. This ain't the comics. This is a movie. You should judge it by how well it captures that character, but also just by how well the final product is. And as a lifetime Hawkeye fan, giving him a family is like, alright, you can still have the Hawkeye that I love and just change that about him. It still makes perfect sense. And I thought that Jeremy Renner was absolutely playing Hawkeye in this. Like, I know so many people were like, well, yeah, it's not Hawkeye, but it's a good character nonetheless. I actually disagree with him on this film. I think that this is Hawkeye. The moment in battle where, A, he's cracking jokes, because that to me is the first thing about Hawkeye. That's a guy who in the heat of battle will be making jokes. But there's a certain kind of joke that he makes. He makes kind of jokes about, oh yeah, great, I'm the guy with the bow and arrow, alright? He makes that exact joke in here. But also, that scene where Quicksilver runs off and runs away, and he just like aims his arrow at him and goes, nobody would have noticed. Nobody would have known. And then he starts making jokes to himself. That's Hawkeye to me. They nailed it on that. But also, so many people think of Hawkeye as just being a loser. I mean, we have Matt Fraction's run on the series to thank for that, for this idea that Hawkeye is just a sad sack, that he's just a guy who's constantly down on his luck, that just can't do anything right. That ain't my Hawkeye. The Hawkeye I know is the guy who can be a leader, and we see that in the church scene with him and Scarlet Witch. That's amazing. And he's also a guy with a heart. Once again, that church scene sums up Hawkeye to me so well. That to me is the Hawkeye that I grew up with. I loved seeing that. And also, speaking of Hawkeye, the death in this movie. Nobody in that audience was not expecting Hawkeye to be the guy. First off, it's Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is a guy who will make you love a character just so he can kill him. And they bring in Hawkeye, they put some central focus on him, and they give him this family, and even as he's about to leave, he just says, this is my last mission. The moment he said that, you could almost hear a groan in the audience, as they were all just like, oh no, he's not coming back. He's got a pregnant wife too, no. It was just the biggest cliche of when a character is about to die. And then he goes back for the kid, and once again, you heard the whole audience just gasp, because they were like, he ain't coming back. This is it. This is what happens. And then when Quicksilver runs in, the fact that Quicksilver's last line is, didn't see that coming, it was like, you know that was meant for the audience and not for Hawkeye. And then after all that, you know, Hawkeye said this was his last mission. I love that it actually was his last mission, that he retired after all this. But not just him, but Iron Man, Thor left to do his own thing, and then at the end of it, you have a brand new Avengers team. I absolutely love that, because one of the things that many people, including myself, have complained about is that, listen, I love all the members of the Avengers that we've had. All the members of the Avengers have been great, but on a team of 6 characters, you've got 1 woman and then 5 white dudes. yeah, man, you need more representation on that team. And so at the end, when you get the new Avengers in there, and it's Black Widow and Captain America, but then also War Machine, Falcon, Vision, and Scarlet Witch, I gotta applaud this movie. I really do. The fact that in one film, you went from having the Avengers be 5 white dudes and 1 woman to being 2 women, 1 white dude, 2 black guys, and a robot, which is played by white guys, so it's like 1.5 white dudes, I don't know, but that is a huge shift. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that we shouldn't continue to progress, that we shouldn't continue to move forward. I'm just saying to change that much from the start of a movie to the end of the movie, that's a hell of a lot of progress. So I applaud you, Avengers. And speaking of those new Avengers, that new base of theirs, I love that new base of theirs. Like, I was never a fan of Stark Towers, and I don't mean in the movies, I mean in the comics too, because that just felt so businessy to me. And the Avengers need to be more of a team. They need to be a family. So putting them in this giant, mansion style base, that to me is fantastic. That to me looks like a place where they could all live together. I look at that tower and it's like nobody lives there except Tony. I want a base where all the Avengers can live together. And the fact that Steve is even saying, listen, I can't find an apartment right now. It's like, oh my gosh, he's living in the new Avengers mansion. Oh, this is perfect. They're all going to live together. It's going to be amazing. This is the team I wanted. They're going to be a family. But okay, there's so much more that I want to talk about, and unfortunately I can't. I'm trying to keep my videos shorter. So let's just talk about the big thing, the action. The action in here is incredible. I talked about that in the main review, but there was something that I wanted to speak about that I couldn't go into too much details, which is, you cannot tell me that the fight scenes in this were not a direct FU to Man of Steel. I'm sorry. I know I talk about Man of Steel way too much in these videos. I know, I do, and I apologize. But this time, you can't tell me that Whedon did not see Man of Steel, watch the reactions from everyone, and go, I know how to make the action scenes in this. There are so many moments in Age of Ultron that look like direct commentary on the action scenes in Man of Steel. For example, the Hulkbuster fight. The #1 argument that I hear from people who are fans of Man of Steel, whenever they talk about the destruction of Man of Steel, the #1 argument that I hear from fans is that, well, it was Zod who was throwing Superman into those buildings. It's not like Superman was wrecking those buildings himself. It was Zod. He was throwing Superman into there. What was he supposed to do? He couldn't get out of the way of that. In the Hulkbuster fight, Hulk is literally throwing Iron Man into buildings. He's literally doing exactly what Zod was doing, and yet you still have Iron Man going, I need to get him away from the citizens. I need to get him away from these people. You see Hulk throwing an elevator, Iron Man still catches it. He makes sure everybody gets off that thing before he goes back to fighting the Hulk. When he's about to just completely crush the Hulk into that building, does he just throw him through a random building? No! He scans that whole scaffolding and says, no people. They made sure to put that front and center. No people in this building before he just crushed him into it. Apparently there's a dog outside that disagrees with me. And then there's the big fight. The big half-hour city destroying. There is literally a city that is destroyed in this. Like, blown the fudge up at the end of this fight. And yet, not a single fatality. Not a single person dies in that. I loved it. And a lot of people, I know people are going to come in. I know people are going to come and go, well, that's not real. That's not realistic. There was no way that would have happened. None of this is real, you idiots. It's a movie. That's my biggest complaint whenever anybody tries to defend the massive destruction in Man of Steel by going, well, what did you expect him to do? That's how it would have really happened. None of this is real. We're not talking about something that happened on the news. If Man of Steel happened on the news, sure, I would have looked at it and been like, oh my gosh. Well, yeah, what else could that guy have done? Oh, wow. You know what else he could have done? Anything the writer wrote for him to do. It's a movie. It's whatever you can imagine. And in this movie, they imagined everyone being saved. And it's not like a Deus Ex Machina. It's not like just, Thor goes, oh, by the way, I can snap my fingers and everyone is instantly teleported off this island. Ha ha ha, save the day again. No, you see the Avengers busting their ass. You see them prepping. You see them doing the hard work to save these people. And the moment when Cap is standing there and they're like, we have no other choice. There's no other way except to just blow up this island right now. It's the only option, which is a total, like, Man of Steel. Like, it's reminding me so much of that scene where, he's got Zod in the headlock and Zod's like, there's no other way. You know, it's the same thing in which they're saying there's no other way, and Cap still goes, no, we're not doing it until every single person is off here. If there's one person left on this island, we're not doing it. That, to me, is what makes him a superhero. That's what makes this a superhero film. Sure, if you want the gritty, realistic, fine. That is fine. I am perfectly okay with that. However, if you want to see your heroes fail, if you want to see them not be able to save the day, don't come to the Avengers. I'm sorry, that's all there is to it. Also, I'm sorry, but why on earth do you want to see your heroes fail? That's a weird thing for you to want to see. And then when Fury shows up with the helicarrier, you can call me whatever you want in the comments down below. I almost started crying. I really did. Like, that got to me. You've got these heroes working their asses off, doing everything they can to save these people, and when things look hopeless, they still believe that there's a way. And you know what? There was a way. Because they're not the only heroes in the world. Fury is also a member of this team. He is working his ass off out there too. And I love the fact that he was like, you know what? Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D., it fell. S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed. It got infested with Hydra. It got corrupted. But you know what? Fury's still around. And he still can come in and save the day as himself. And when the helicarrier rises up and they say, is this S.H.I.E.L.D.? And then Captain America goes, that's what S.H.I.E.L.D. can be. That to me is like, that's a message. That to me is a metaphor for so many things, especially things like, say, government. Like whenever anybody talks about, oh, the government can't work because there's too many corrupt people in there. Just substitute S.H.I.E.L.D. for government in that sense of, that's what S.H.I.E.L.D. can be. It's like, yeah, man, this is a message. This is a metaphor right here. So yeah, I gave this like a B+ in my review, but the more I think about it and just talking about right here in my spoiler discussion, the more I realize I really did enjoy this movie. This was a fantastic time at the theater, but I did have one other problem with this movie, and this one's not me speaking as a film goer, this wasn't one me speaking as an audience member, this is just me talking as a comic book fan. There were not nearly enough Easter eggs in this movie. I saw so many lists online of, oh, here's the top 10 Easter eggs in Age of Ultron, and I was like, all right, I'm sure there's some stuff I missed in there, let me see it. And it was things like, did you notice that they mentioned Wakanda? It's like, that's not an Easter egg. They stopped the whole film to do it because it's part of the plot. That's not an Easter egg. That's like saying Thor's hammer is an Easter egg. Oh, did you notice that Infinity Gauntlet there at the end? Yes, we noticed it. It was the entire scene. And I wouldn't have minded it so much, but this movie teases you so much with those little Easter eggs. They mention Wakanda in here. You don't ever see Wakanda. You don't see the Black Panther, you don't see any representatives from Wakanda mentioning T'Challa, there's nothing like that. And in Winter Soldier, we got that quick little Easter egg of Stephen Strange, and that was great. It's a year away from when the Doctor Strange movie comes out. There's no mention of magic or anything in this, come on. We have Ant-Man coming out in like 2 months, and you couldn't have a scene of him just going, oh yeah, I studied the research of Dr. Hank Pym. Nothing like that? There's that scientist, they introduced a new scientist, I forget her first name, but her last name is Cho. And I was like, a scientist, her last name is Cho, she's associated with the Avengers. Say you have a son named Amadeus. Say you have a son named, I know that's what you're hinting at. I know you're hinting at Amadeus Cho. Just say it. You don't ever hear anything like that. And the biggest one of all to me, the biggest one of all, when they're walking to meet the new recruits, and they're going, oh yeah, we got a lot of new good recruits, and they're looking through a file, you couldn't have like shown us those files and had them like flip past, I don't know, Daredevil or Luke Cage or Spider-Man. I know you don't have Spider-Man cast yet, but you know what the mask is going to look like at least. And then the end, the whole when Cap is about to say assemble, because this thing teases the possibility of him saying Avengers assemble throughout the whole thing. Like when they're about to face Ultron, and Iron Man goes, we'll do it the way we've always done. And he turns to Cap, and then it focuses on Cap for a second, and I started to well up, and I was like, he's gonna say Avengers assemble. He's gonna say Avengers assemble. And then it cuts back to Iron Man, and he goes, together. And then there at the very end, when he goes, Avengers, and then it just cuts off. I'm not the type of person who yells out and shouts in theaters. I literally yelled out, son of a bitch! And much to my disappointment, no one in the audience replied with language, which, how great would that have been? But still, had an amazing time, and I thank you guys for watching this video. If you like it, then hit subscribe, hit thumb up, you guys know the deal. Follow me on Twitter and Tumblr, all the information is down below. And most importantly, share this, spread around the internet. I have been gaining so many new followers lately, and I thank all of you, because I know it's you guys. I know it's you out there spreading the word. I thank you so much for that. but I need to get so many more, so let's keep going, guys. But if you like this video, I've got tons of other ones, and I'm gonna leave just two right here. I've got my Avengers review, which I already linked you guys to before, but it's right up there again. And also, this isn't my first spoiler talk. I also did one for the Daredevil Netflix series, so it's right down there. So if you want to click on either of those, go ahead. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.